Hey, what's up, guys? I just wanted to bring you a quick video. So let me explain the thumbnail first of all. So it's a drunk reindeer. I ordered a puppet, and I'm gonna start doing movie reviews again, and it was gonna be on Shazam, but the puppet hasn't come in, and the segment was gonna be called, or is gonna be called, the Blitzen Report. So get it? Blitzen, drunk reindeer, blitzed. I know you all out there get it. But anyway, I wanted to do a video because I haven't done a video in ages, but I wanted it to be a different kind of video. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do basically just a few little quick tutorial or breakdown on how to identify a very particular type of shoplifter, or shoplifters, plural. A quick disclaimer though, of course, I am not a trained psychiatrist. I'm not a trained psychologist. This is just me sitting back and observing and asking the most important question when anybody pursues knowledge in anything, and that is, why? And with that, you might be asking, why is it important to me? Why would I, want to learn body language and things like that in the first place? Well, the why for me in this case is the fact that I need to know, and I have to know, when someone else is planning to screw me over. Because is that not hypergamy? Is that not gynocentrism? They shake your hand with their left, and they hold a dagger behind their back with their right. So one thing I have to say before we really get into it is this. Even though I'm talking about shoplifters as far as this specific area of retail, which is the DIY, auto parts, retail, and accessories area, this does apply to all retail. And it actually applies to even a few situations that aren't retail, because body language is universal. And if we have overt traits, whatever overt traits or signals that the brain sends out that's manifested in the quirks or tics of body language when we are being deceptive or when someone's trying to lie to you, then it's going to play out the exact same way. The way we're going to do this is I'm going to build the scene, then I'll explain what happened or the reaction or how someone seemed to be reacting to me or what they did, and then I'll give a subsequent explanation. Number 1, behind mom's skirt. This couple walks in and they said that they needed multiple things for the wife's car. So I noticed that every single time that every product they asked for was something way, way, way back in the back of the store. And every time I came back, they were gone. They were never at the counter when I came back with the product. And they were always at, each of them was always at a completely different opposite end of the store. At one point, I caught each of them. So the first one I walked over to talk to was the wife. And the wife was in the aisle in front of the light bulbs and the fuses. And it's a little different. I don't know how to explain this, but it's a little different for each, DIY retail setup. Everybody sort of formats their stores differently, but overall, things like light bulbs and fuses are going to be in the same place. So I asked her, "Oh, did you need anything else for your car? Did you need fuses? Did you need light bulbs?" And she says, "Oh, no, I'm just looking." And the reason why that's weird is because in the sum total of my experience, 1, people know next to nothing about their cars. 2, I've been told over and over again, "You guys are the experts. Shouldn't you know?" And women especially know doubly nothing about cars or their own car. They think that basically they treat the auto parts retail store clerks, they treat us like we're the stand-in boyfriend, even when their boyfriend or husband is already there. So the other thing is that the other reason as to why that's weird is that they won't hesitate to ask me questions. If they really want to get a problem solved, they'll go, "Hey, listen, I don't know anything about cars." And they'll laugh, and it's like, "Yeah, that's funny. That's a new one. I've heard that a billion times." And then they'll ask me about it. They'll say, which one do I need? They'll make the exchange as simple as that. So if they're not asking questions and they're milling around in a section of the store that they know nothing about, to me, it's like, you got no business being there because you would have already asked me. That's highly suspicious. I caught the husband in the aisle staring at oil. And I said to him, "Oh, were you thinking about switching to synthetic?" Now, here's the baseline difference. Here's a little bit of automotive knowledge and the baseline difference between what we call conventional and synthetic for everybody out there. Generally, what we call conventional, it's just oil with zero additives. Full synthetic oil has a buttload of additives, and it's mainly most for the high-end cars. So we got like your Audis, your Mercedes, the V-dubs, all of those like European and German cars always take full synthetic. That's why they're, in many ways, that's why they're high-end. So conventional does not last as long as synthetic before you need to have an oil change. The upswing with conventional is, even though it goes black or it goes bad much quicker, it has less additives that get caught in the system. And it's the opposite with full synthetic. It takes way longer. It lasts way longer than conventional. But when it goes bad, it leaves behind a lot of additives. So you'll have to change it, and you'll have to throw a bunch of other kind of specialized chemicals to keep that stuff from gelling in the system. Getting back down to it, though, the reason why I asked him, "Oh, so you're thinking about switching to synthetic," which really caught him off guard, is because he fed me a BS line about how his car can only take conventional. Now, he said this to distract me in the previous part of the conversation, while I was asking him if he needed anything else while we were all back out at the counter. And of course, it was revealed to me that he was speaking BS, and he doesn't know anything about his wife's car, because he said, "My car," and then I said, "Yes, your car." And he's like, "Well, no, I mean my wife's car." I'm like, "Well, does your wife's car take conventional or synthetic? Because you told me back there that your car only takes conventional." He's like, "Oh, yeah, that's what I mean. I'm looking at the synthetic." And the whole time as he's doing this is the overt body language. As far as the face region goes, he's smiling, and he's smiling a smug, shit-eating grin. I don't like to curse on my channel, but I have to use that phrasing because it's a phrasing that people understand and identify. What does a shit-eating grin mean? That means it's a grin of arrogance, of smugness, and if it makes you want to punch the person in the face, yes, that's a shit-eating grin. So he had that kind of grin on his face, and then all of the things that I mentioned prior, including his grin, tipped me off that I'm like, okay, now it's completely confirmed beyond a shadow of a doubt that you guys are on the take. So sorry, I don't mean on the take, because I understand that that's like bad cop terminology. When you have a bad cop who takes bribes, that's what on the take means. I'm sorry to get my terminology mixed up, but what I mean is that yes, you and your wife are definitely confirmed shoplifters now that all of this is happening. So his wife walks up, and she doesn't say a thing, and then I start to say, "Oh, hey, by the way, just FYI," and I start to disseminate the incorrect information deliberately to her about her car, to see if the husband's going to interrupt me, to see if he'll correct my knowledge. Because if there's one thing, if you want information, a certain order of information from people, never, ever discount people's incessant need to correct you on everything so that they can feel smug and superior. This has got me so much information out of people in the past. As I said, I'm talking to the guy's wife, and then I noticed it. Then I saw it. As I'm talking to her, she has this look on her face of, I want to say, like, bothered at the very least, and at the very high end, fear. And she starts to slowly drift behind her husband. Now, this isn't going to happen in every single case. Like, let's say, okay, someone walks in, you know, a couple walks in, you know they're shoplifting, you start talking to the female in the group, and then they're not going to just do that every single time. But this is a reaction that I've observed several times throughout my entire course in retail. I even started to notice this this happenstance way in the past, before I even started to really dig deep and observe body language. And when it happened, at first I was thinking like there was something wrong with me that caused her to react that way. And then I had to remember, yeah, you are wise to their game. She doesn't want to get caught. So that tells me, as the husband seemed to be able to keep his cool to a irritating and smug degree, he knew what he was doing, and he knew I was onto him. That's usually what elicits that irritating, shit-eating grin. Once again, I apologize. Please excuse my French. But anyway, women do not have the same sort of sand, to use old Western parlance. Generally, they don't do this. They have their men do this. They're like, I'm going to nag this guy, I'm going to beat him over the head or whatever, and he's going to go out and he's going to fix the problem for me. He'll go out and steal. Men are the ones that go out and do that. Women don't do that unless it's something that they want. They really, you know, I'm sorry, I'm rambling. But what I mean to say is this. They generally have men do everything for them. So why would they need to steal? So when it comes to the idea of accountability, when it comes to the idea of getting caught, women cave emotionally. They retreat. And in this case, this woman was literally retreating before my eyes. Before I move on to my next and last story, I have to state this. Triggers are important. In many ways, I hate that phrase because of SJWs and these terrible people popularizing that phrase and making it next to worthless because of the connotation with their just deeply unfortunate ilk. But I noticed this when I was going through what I said to her, because once again, not in this case, but in a case in the past, I felt like, what did I say that caused her to do that? Because it was such a overt display of fear. And when I went through what I said, I said the same thing that I said in this case as what I said in the past. I was confused when I saw the other woman wandering around in a section that she knew nothing about and had no business being there. And I said, "Hey, I saw you in aisle such and such. Did you need anything from there? Did you need me to grab you something? Did you have any questions?" And this is me trying to be Johnny on the spot. And when I said those words, and I recalled the memory, no doubt when she was thinking of whatever she took from there, and then that caused that woman and the other woman to literally physically retreat behind their boyfriend and or husband. And with this woman, I said the same thing, but the difference is I was cognizant of what I said to the woman previous, so I was testing it out, and it was exquisite because it worked and I was right. All of these things that I'm gonna teach you in the upcoming future, as well as this, they're time-tested methods. They're not perfect, but what is? All right, last one. Before we get into it, I have to tell you a story. It's completely pertinent to this last story that I'll tell you subsequently, or after I tell you this story. So I was listening on the radio, and I think it's Kiss FM. Unfortunately, our radio is tuned to Kiss FM, and it has this show called The Woody Show. Now, I would like to take a little bit of time to invite everybody to, if you know of The Woody Show here in America, listen to it, because when you're listening to The Woody Show, you're gonna see hypergamy and gynocentrism in its entirety. The radio seems to be this last bastion for programming and gynocentrism. Just a little bit of backstory real quick about me. I hate marketing and I hate advertisements because it's all about manipulation. It's all about intimating a promise but never substantiating that promise. And I've always been on the opposite end with a lot of people in literally every phase of my life. People seem to have this petulant, incessant need to defend the world against me. If I'm just some guy and I'm wrong about what I say, why would you need to defend a multi-billion-dollar company that I'm talking bad about? Here's a quick example. On YouTube, for the last, I want to say like year and a half, good God, it's just been freaking pissing me off. I hate those Mazda commercials where they're playing M83. I don't know the name of the song, but the main lyric is now and forever. Or at least that's the part of it that they've snippeted into their advertisement. They're like, be bold, be free. And I'm like, and it shows people dancing. It shows artists. It shows people deep sea diving and filming whales. And I'm like, how the hell is a Mazda gonna help you do that? How the hell is a Mazda if you've got these payments and the payments are like $100 or $200 or $300 a month? How is that gonna help you be bold? And I've always had people go like, well, you only don't like cars or whatever because you don't have one. That is rank, asinine, and basic bitch logic. But let me end that little rant there and continue on. So the tie-in with that rant is that because the radio at work is tuned to the Woody Show, I unfortunately have to listen to all that garbage in the form of advertising. But anyway, they had some guy on the phone lines and they were talking about favorite scene of the last couple of years in some whatever movie. And this simpleton talked about that movie that Jennifer Lawrence was, where she supposedly recruited to be some sort of spy. Now, I didn't know anything about that film except for this one little controversy where she took some picture with the rest of the actors and they're talking about, they get to dress comfortably and she's on some rooftop where it's like wearing a dress and I bet it's cold and that's not fair to her and all that BS. But with that aside, the guy was saying that he liked this scene because they were basically like, as apparently in the plot, they were like, you need to prove to us that you can be a spy. So he talks about this scene. Now, I haven't seen the movie, mind you. I don't even know if this scene is actually in the movie, but apparently he said it was his favorite scene in the movie, where she basically walks into some restaurant or whatever, approaches some dude, takes off her clothes, gets completely naked, and gets on top of the of his table, and is just naked in front of him. And this retard was talking about how, she proved that she was a spy because she could be a seductress. And I'm like, you moron, you retard. That's not seducing a guy. That's throwing it at him. Two completely different things. So here's the tie-in to my last story. Basically, that happened to me. I was at work. These two youngins, these two childrens were in there. So they had to be about, I want to say between the ages of about 17 to about 20. They still look like they were in high school. And the girl is standing super close to me. She's asking me, oh, would you help me to maybe get the right part? Would you help me to maybe install it? And I was saying, I don't really know too much about installing this. And then it happened. I'm like, this is embarrassing. I'm so sorry, but this is embarrassing. I'm like, am I popping a boner down there? And I'm like, I feel sexually engaged, is my point. I was sexually engaged. And then I started looking at her, no pupil constriction, actually quite dilated. As far as her pupils were dilated, and that's a big thing to look for. Part of our when a guy is attracted to a woman is we look for pupil dilation. That's on a subconscious level. But moving on, she was standing real close to me. I could smell her perfume, and her perfume was actually very faint. She definitely was in the personal space invasion quadrant, and then I just sort of glance at the guy, and the guy is he broke eye contact. And I started talking to him, and he's standing right behind her. And she's kind of, for the most part, in my line of sight. So theoretically, if he wanted to pocket something, my view would have actually been blocked. And as she's talking to me, she's standing progressively closer to me, and stepping progressively closer to me. And it was a very aggressive move. Now, here's the takeaway from this situation. This girl was deliberately standing a specific distance and sending out signals that she knew I, as a man, would pick up on. And hopefully for her, she was thinking I would respond to those signals and be sufficiently distracted in order for her to meet her ulterior motives. Now, we just touched on something right there that is incredible. I just realized it. Isn't that the modus operandi of every woman out there who's dating? Especially if they've hit the wall, especially if they have children. They're not dating this guy because they're interested in him. They're dating the guy or trying to proposition the guy and saying, I'll give you sex once if you take care of me and my brood for the rest of your natural lifespan, maybe even subsequently having one or two more children, and then taking care of them. While I fabricate reasons, I instigate fights, I divorce you, and then I take your children as well as the other guy's children, and then I work on my next target. Just like when you go MGTOW. It's because you realize that you're a mark, you're a target. And any method and anything that is offered to you by part of the woman is just a means to an end to getting something out of you. Men only want one thing, women often say. And I've now said, yeah, we just want one thing. You women, you want everything. Even what is inappropriate, and even what one tangibly can never acquire. But once again, bringing it full circle, you are a target to these women out there. And it's the same with a shoplifter. You're a target. They're looking to eliminate you, to get rid of you, so they can get what they want. You are an obstacle. And that's what they don't like about you. That's why that woman, had that signal coming from her tiny little squirrel brain going, I don't like this guy. Let's hide behind the big man. He seems dangerous. Why? Because I represented consequence. But with that being said, let me end this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed my little tutorial about spotting a shoplifter and the subsequent knowledge of body language. It's something I know, I have to say, I do know a lot about because I trouble myself to really try to dig deep and study it. But I've gotten so much chastisement, not only from coworkers, even from some of my friends, that insist that what I'm doing is wrong, or my conclusions are inaccurate, without even being anywhere close to the scenario that I'm in, or even being in the same scenario, and out of embarrassment want to tell me that I'm wrong somehow, or I didn't see what I see. But I want to do more videos like this. I will, if you like them, just give this video a thumbs up. Leave a comment, let me know, and I'll sit down. I'll write a coherent script, and I'll make it so that I don't have all these uhs and ums. And even if the script goes like over 20 minutes, I do like doing long form videos and long form reviews. So once again, I hope you guys enjoy. I've been Epiphanies, and I'll see you guys in the next one.